Hey guys, welcome to episode 9 of Ask Jungle Scout. As always, we've got some great questions lined up for you today, and make sure to leave your questions in the comments below this video if you want yours to be answered on the show. Now before I forget, make sure you hit the subscribe button below so that you never miss an episode. Brennan asks, the product I want to sell on Amazon is already listed by a few sellers and it's obviously coming from the same supplier. Is this a red flag? Should I consider manufacturing a similar model with a few changes? Thanks for the question, Brennan. So what you'll notice if you look on Alibaba and search for a product, you'll notice that dozens and dozens of suppliers are often all selling the exact same thing. More often than not, they'll be using the same images as well. So it'd be really hard to pinpoint if someone else is using the same supplier that you're looking at. And I personally wouldn't really worry about whether your supplier is selling to other people or not. I'd focus on the main steps and not get distracted by these other questions or doubts. I know some people have had experiences where their supplier has then sold their product to other people as well, but there's no real way to know that up front. You just have to follow the steps that are in front of you, get your product made, get it launched, because until you do that, none of those other issues are even relevant. That being said, there are a few things you can do to vet suppliers when you're first looking for them. We did a great webinar episode with Gary Wang, and I'll link to that episode below. Jerry asks, as a private label seller, I don't want to sell the same product as another seller, but how can I tell if the products are different since I don't know the other seller's manufacturer? Well, what you can do, Jerry, if you want to check out a competitor's product, just buy one off of Amazon. That way you get to see their packaging, you get to see their product, and then compare that with the ones that you're looking at on Alibaba or Global Sources or anywhere else. But even simpler than that, you don't necessarily need to see their product or know who their manufacturer is. You can just look at their listing. Of course, they've got images there, but you can also look at their reviews. Now, I would go in and look at the 2-star reviews and the 1-star reviews, go through, read all of them, see what common things people are complaining about with their product, and then write those things down, and then go to your supplier and then say, hey, can you give me this product but make these changes? You know, for instance, it might be, can you make it 10% bigger, or can you make it from this material? And negotiate with your supplier and try to improve upon the things that people don't like about your competitor's product. Julia Roberts asks, hi Greg, can you talk more about how you differentiate your products with others on Amazon? What's your strategy? How many different ways can we think about it? How to add more value to your product so that people would like to buy yours instead of other sellers? Great question, Julia, and I just mentioned one of the ways you can do this. Looking at your competitors' reviews, seeing what people don't like about it, and then asking for your supplier to make those improvements on that product. So making modifications and improvements is one way you can do it. Another way is by bundling your product. So what this means is to take the product that's existing and then find something else related or that other people like to buy and then sell them together. It's a good way to raise your price as well. You might have a product that by itself is only worth around about the $10 mark, but by bundling it with another item, you can make the value $18, $20 depending on what you're adding. So how do you go about bundling? Well, what I'd do is that I'd look up that product on Amazon, I'd open up, say, the top 10 listings, and then if you scroll down, you'll see a section that says frequently bought with. And then in those top 10 listings, I jot down what is being frequently bought with that product. And then whatever is the most common product is likely a good product to bundle with that original item. So that's a couple of ways that you can add value to your product and make it stand out against your competitors. Infinite Abundance asks, on the sample RFQ, there was a question on EXW quotation price. What does that mean? Also, what shipping costs are there for shipping your product from China and how does it work? So 2 abbreviations you're going to see a lot are EXW and FOB. So FOB means that the supplier is responsible for shipping your product to the nearest port. From there, it's your responsibility to get it shipped from that point to the US or to your house. EXW means that they don't have any responsibility to ship it outside their factory. So you need to organize getting your product picked up from the actual factory. So there are a couple of ways to do this. You can get your supplier to organize the shipping for you. So they'll give you a couple of quotes. You select the one you're happy with, you pay your supplier, and then they organize getting it shipped to the US or to your house. or you can get a freight forwarder yourself that you deal with. The advantage of that is that you're in more control. If your supplier does it, you're not really in the loop with exactly what's happening with your shipment. Personally, I've had my supplier organize a lot of the shipping over to the US, to Amazon, so it hasn't really worried me whether the quotation has been EXW or FOB. But as for a more detailed look at the shipping process from China to the US, Greg answered this question in more detail a couple of weeks back, so I'll link to that one below. The final question is from Udo, who asks, I want to know if you can tell us if you've ever had a bad product. Have you ever launched a product which didn't sell and you had to quit and move forward to another? Or have you managed to reduce risk on every launch product by doing all these steps? So personally, yes, I have had a failed product before. For me, what happened was that the profit margins were too low and the return rate was too high. So by the time I added in things like PPC, the product was really running at a loss. So once I realized this, I tried everything I could to optimize this product. The best thing I could do was just try to sell off or kind of liquidate the remaining stock and put those funds into a better product. The way I went about this was dropping the listing price so I could get more sales. I dropped it to the point where I was at break even or even $1 or a little bit less. Yes, you do lose a bit of money, but it's better than having stock there and not selling any of it. And sometimes what you'll find is that if you do lower your price, you might actually get enough sales to get that product selling. However, in my case, the profit margins weren't good enough anyway, so there wasn't much I could do. But that's why product research is very important. As you mentioned in your question, by following these steps that we outline when it comes to product research, you can eliminate a lot of the risk. You can't ever eliminate 100% risk and know for sure that the product is going to be a success, but the more steps that you follow, the higher your chances of your product succeeding. So that's all the questions for today, guys. Please give us a big thumbs up if you got some value from the show, and make sure you leave your questions in the comments section below so that I can answer them in a later episode. I hope you have an amazing week, guys, and I look forward to seeing you next time.